Today's video is on fall garden prep. We're going to talk about some tips and tricks to get your garden ready for fall. Soil preparation, plant selection, planning, and note-taking. So the first thing you want to do is clear your space. Any of your spent plants that have been affected by disease or pests, you want to make sure you throw in the garbage. That includes any weeds that may have occurred because those could affect your compost. However, anything that is just simply spent but still in healthy material condition, go ahead and compost those so that way you can reuse those nutrients next season. Another thing you want to do is make sure that you harvest all the seed pods that you let go to seed. These you can use again for next season to grow a new plant similar to the one that succeeded this year. So now that we've cleared our area, it's time to amend the soil. Ideally, if you've done this ahead of time, you could go ahead and send in a soil sample to get your soil tested, and that way you would make sure your soil is enriched properly for the plants you're about to plant. In this case, we didn't start off as early as we'd like to, so we're just going to go ahead and add some compost and some perlite. Perlite is going to help reduce any impaction, making sure there's plenty of oxygen and loose soil available for your plants so that way the roots can easily grow. Compost is a perfect amendment to soil regardless of what nutrients it's lacking, as that rich organic material is going to retain moisture and feed your plants. So I've gone ahead and treated this bed. I've added the compost and the perlite, and I have tilled it in, as you can see here. So this bed is ready for planting. The next step is you want to have a plan. You can find many great resources on the internet. This is a planning for my area for September. I really love this website because it shows not only the different districts of Florida and what grows best at that season at that time, but what works well for transplanting or direct sow. A plant that's easily transplanted can be started earlier, even if it's a cold winter crop for the hotter seasons like us here in Florida, if you start it indoors. This is the reverse idea of those in the north that start their plants indoors because they have a more warm temperature, where here in the south, we can start colder weathers indoors because it's a cooler temperature. Direct sow plants are typically root vegetables, and they don't take well to transplanting because most of their energy is going to their roots. A transplanted root vegetable may not develop to its full potential, so those you're going to want to sow directly into where they're going to grow. For this particular area, I've decided to plant collard greens, cabbage, and lettuce. The reason why I've picked these three vegetables as my main crop for this section is because this area tends to be partially shady. These vegetables that I have selected will thrive in that environment. Besides these particular plants, I want to add companion plants that are going to benefit these plants. This is a cabbage plant. Around it, I will plant cilantro, mint, thyme, sage, oregano, marigold, and celery. All these plants have strong aromas that are going to repel the insects that would typically attack my cabbages. This is a collard green. It's going to be planted towards the rear of my bed here because it's going to get the tallest. Ideally, you want to plant from tall to the back to short to the front to make it easier to harvest and so that the sunlight can distribute evenly across your bed. For our collards, we're going to companion plant chamomile and thyme. Again, these are strong aromas that are going to repel the insects that want to attack that particular plant. Last but certainly not least is lettuce. And for companion planting, we're going to plant a multitude of things that are really going to benefit not only the lettuce itself, but the footprint of our garden. As you can tell, lettuce is going to put most of its growth above the surface. So planting root vegetables alongside your lettuce is going to take care of that excess under the surface area. So that way you get more plants per square foot. So now we're in our greenhouse where we're going to start some seeds. Better late than never, but I want to give you some tips and tricks in case you are on the ball and on schedule for your fall garden. To start off with, you want to make sure that your soil type is appropriate for the seeds that you're planting. In this planter, I have a combination of compost, perlite, and sphagnum peat moss. The compost is on the bottom section, while the perlite and sphagnum peat moss mixture is on the top. This is a really light and airy combination that will be perfect for seeds. It's going to retain the moisture and the nutrients where the seeds need them, but still be light enough that it's not going to inhibit its growth. I'm going to be starting some more lettuces and, more importantly, some marigold seeds in the greenhouse to companion plant with the rest of the plants I already have started. If you're in a northern climate where fall gardening isn't really an option, this is a great time to prep your garden for spring planting. You can go ahead and amend the soil, get a soil test, and make sure that you add all those nutrient-rich ingredients to your bed so that way it can be well integrated into the soil before you plant in the spring. Another option for our northern friends is to plant a cover crop. This is something like winter rye or clover. It's going to cover your area, and then a few weeks prior to planting in spring, you're simply going to till that into the earth. This is going to create a green manure, which is going to enrich the soil and give plenty of nutrients for your spring crop. My last tip for fall garden prep is to take notes, and this is something that should have been done throughout the year. You want to make sure that you have record of what worked best in your garden and what you had the most difficulty on, so that you can plan ahead for next season and be even more productive. Make sure to add those companion plants that are going to repel the pests that really gave you trouble last season, and that you plant plenty of the plants that thrived on their own without your intervention, so you can have plenty to store when they're not growing any longer. I would like to thank all the people listed over here, as those are our two top tiers of our VIP group. All the members of our VIP group help support this channel so that way we can continue giving you quality information such as this. If you've enjoyed this video, look up. There's another one you might like equally as well. Thank you for watching.